Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So, guys, this was a Patreon exclusive that we did. We had Cindy do some channeling the last couple days, and this is just fun. The old gods are awakening. I think we could have broke this down into multiple videos, but as we get more info, we will keep sharing more and more. First leader of the free world in a new Vatican religion. There is so much going on. You are living in perhaps the most exciting times that you can imagine in the cycle of the Yugas.
It's pretty crazy.
It is pretty wild. Again, this is a Patreon exclusive. And again, you could join for as little as $10.80 a year. So about 90 cents a month when you pay for a year in advance. Again, there are exclusives going up there each week. You know, you probably have seen this before. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. The symbolism of, again, the Eye of Horus, the Eye of Ra. The fact that there are so many references to the pineal gland all around us. In the symbolism of the Pope's staff, in the Vatican, you have the largest pine cone statue in the world. The pine cone, a symbol of the pineal gland. Why are these gods, these Assyrian, Babylonian, Sumerian gods holding pine cones? Well, does it have anything to do with the fact that they're the ones that basically blocked our pineal gland? The Pope holds your pineal gland. He has the power over your pineal gland as we're waiting for one Pope to perhaps pass and a new one to come in. And with this new Pope, I think there's going to be a lot of changes. But what's inevitable is the end of the Vatican, the end of really organized religion on the planet as we shift in becoming more spiritual beings with our own personal system of belief that is not anything we're going to need any sort of approval from anybody about.
No, I mean, everything's going to be completely different in a way that I think a lot of people cannot imagine. I think the truth is going to come forward and people are not going to be able to ignore it anymore. I don't think we're too far from that.
So, in case you don't know, melatonin is produced, again, by the pineal gland, which, gives us that beautiful dream state. It controls sleep and wake cycles. We have serotonin production. We, as a society, have had our pineal glands calcified. And I think, absolutely, it has been a purposeful thing because, again, this is how they keep us from being able to communicate telepathically with other beings. And this telepathy is the normal way beings communicate throughout the universe. This is just how people communicate. And I see Joe, too, nodding his head.
Well, yeah, I want to hear Joe's ideas on this because of, the body parts involved.
Well, aside from that specifics, I'm just picturing the thousands and thousands of testimonies that people have, and I don't want to shift gears on everybody, but it's related, is the people that see they see like Bigfoot, and they have this, what they call mind speak. And that's telepathic communication. They talk about all these other gifts that the, if you want to call them the Sasquatch, the Bigfoot, but have they kept all the gifts that we once had is what I often think of, because again, I mean, there's thousands and thousands. I mean, just do a YouTube search and just start listening to the common threads of each one of these testimonies. And one of the things that comes to mind is that mind speak. And again, to me, it's fascinating. And in the court system, I mean, how many people does it take to be a witness and to testify?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Tower of Babel incident, which I've talked about thousands of times probably. Again, you have the whole world having one language. Well, that one language was telepathic in nature. So you had people working together, communicating together. They couldn't hide anything from each other because they could read each other's minds. So again, it was a totally different situation, but it's the situation we find ourselves in as we enter the Bronze Age. So they're building a city with its tower up in the sky, and this could be also allegorical, talking about the ability to leave and come back to the planet at will, and also communicate with other beings from elsewhere. And this is all what was our real reality here on planet Earth. So when you have this reference over to the Ya guy coming down to see the tower, etc., and destroying it and scattering the people, this also is the initiation in there of new ways of communicating, which again, through the use of fluoride and other technologies, and as well as intervention genetically, we understand that we have been modified. We are a modified species, and it's fascinating to see that this was the extraterrestrial invasion. This was the alien invasion. This was that horrible nightmare of when the Earth was taken over by the dark control system. And it's referenced very clearly in the Bible from a different point of view. Actually, it's giving us again the point of view from the control system that came into place. And we all know there's so much being put up in the air, and a lot of this is geared again towards lowering frequency, lowering vibration, overwhelming the body with toxic heavy metals. And, people take it for granted that people have allergies. You shouldn't have allergies. You shouldn't be getting colds. If your immune system was operating as it should, that is not normal. It's not normal. They get us to think it's normal, but what's not normal is the toxicity of the world in which we live. At a different time, you could drink out of any stream and not worry about what's in it. This is part of the dark system. We know fluoride is a poison and a waste product of fertilizer. It does calcify the pineal gland, which is responsible for mood regulation, reproductive function, immune system regulation. What do we see? We see reproduction is getting to be very troublesome. Fertility rates lowest ever, sperm rates lowest ever. Now we have life longevity being attacked, where we're losing years off our life. And then how many people have problems with sleep, etc., etc., etc. I was just talking yesterday about different genes and research. Now, this is coming out of the Rockefeller University. Science for the benefit of humanity. Again, we know the system tells us everything in verse. So, again, coming from this source, this is again the spin of the alien invasion controllers narrative. This is how they sell us. So what are they talking about here? This is a fun one, because we were just talking about something connected to this yesterday. Scientists identify a gene potentially linked to the evolution of spoken language. Now, this gene is in humans. It's not found anywhere else. We do know there's a second chromosome fusion. Using mice and using CRISPR technology, they put it into mice. And the vocalizations of the mice changed. And so, wow, there you go. It shows you the island of Dr. Moreau in action here again. All those legends and myths about all sorts of experiments happening in deep underground military bases are real. Again, we look to World War II, and we look to all the experiments being done on humans by the N period, A period, Z period, I period. Oh, yeah. Well, it turns out the Neanderthals and the Denisovans didn't have this gene. They didn't have this gene. What was Cindy telling you guys with her channeled information? She was saying, and we had this video removed. We did a video 4 years ago, actually 5 years ago now, where we were talking about what happened to the Denisovans and what happened to Neanderthals. We did a Patreon exclusive too about a month ago. What happened to them is what you see in the clouds today, and they just didn't realize what was happening until it was too late. And so, they were basically, they had a bad brush in with the fog, with toxic overload. And they were too much of a threat. They were more intelligent than us. They had better technology than us. They had a better connection to the earth, too. And they were telepathic. They were able to communicate telepathically. So again, this gene that they find is only in Homo sapiens and it's not in anything else. It wasn't in the Neanderthals and the Denisovans, who, by the way, turn out to be looking more like Pleiadians, Nords, with a preponderance of them having blue eyes and blonde hair, and the ones that didn't primarily would have blue eyes or green eyes and red hair. So not, quote unquote, monkey men that they try to portray them as. In fact, the Denisovans and Neanderthals, in case you were wondering, they are the Tartarians. They are the ones who were building these structures. They didn't disappear, 40, 50,000 years ago. No, this was just, I think that, they were hunted down and wiped out after the big act of war that we know of as the Younger Dryas period extinction event. It was after that, and part of the record of hunting them down is, again, given to us as hunting down of giants. Now, some beings were giants, other beings were giants just basically in their abilities and perhaps in their energy fields.
Mm-hmm. I look at this world and the science that they have, to sequence our DNA and then do things to kind of match that sequence to change our world, to change how things function inside of us. This has been a very long, ongoing process with the controllers, and they're losing their grip because we're moving more into the energetic world, and they don't have control over that.
Yeah, have you noticed the number of channelers that are there today compared to, say, 10, 15, 20 years ago? Mm-hmm. I really believe that the channeling is a form of the telepathic communication. And so just because we can't see what's beyond what we can see, that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just like a microscope in bacteria or a telescope for the stars and planets that are out there. We didn't, we had to develop a tool to see it, to measure it. And I think that telepathy that a lot of the people are coming online with today, because of the energies we've been talking about that are coming through the universe and raising in the vibration, it's all part of this ascension process.
Yeah, absolutely. And we see this, the flags of all nations, you see a flag there of Tartary. Tons of people have done videos on Tartaria, and it is a fascinating subject. Again, there was an extraterrestrial presence on the planet that we took for granted, and they're the ones that taught us. And most of humanity that's here on the planet, again, we all have star family out there, and Cindy was talking about how you can connect to your star family today. Just put it out there. It's very important. One of the things for everybody to do, and I keep forgetting to mention this, is like when you go and you do your prayers, your meditation, your mantras, openly invite your star family, your angels, and your guides to work in your life. They have to be invited because they are benevolent beings that respect your privacy and your freedom, and so they won't do what the system has done by mandatory making compliance to certain things that we don't want to do. Well, they won't do that. So openly invite your angels, your guardian angels, your spirit guides into your life, and they will work to reestablish communications and contact with you, and they will whisper in your ear.
Mm-hmm. And they will. I think that's really important to remember. And we might do day-to-day things, or even wake up in the morning and kind of forget to call them in. But one thing we do with energy work that Mike does, Joe does, that I do, before we work on any one person, we go through these processes, and maybe it's mantras, meditation, Qigong, and calling in your guides and angels and all the energies that want to help you work on healing that person. You get some really amazing results, and you make it a lot further when you do call them in for any one particular thing than not.
Yeah, so we're in a free will zone, and therefore you have to ask in order to receive. Basically, they can't force their information or themselves upon us, and I got a little more to say, but this is too hilarious. That kitty is too funny.
That kitty, he's just having too much fun here.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the individual if you want to, chase your own tail and go down these rabbit holes that lead to nowhere. It is up to the individual. There's going to be massive change on the planet. 2025 is a year of change like you have never seen before. And so, again, getting ourselves ready for that change and the realization, everything that we've watched has been just one big Truman show.
Indeed.
Indeed.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.
Namaste.